Hey everyone, today we are going to be making Light Fury and Night Fury. So it's the same pattern, just you're using different colors, that's all. So I'm going to make this tutorial with Light Fury just because it's easier to see since we're using white, gray, and things like that. We don't want to use black because you can't really see those stitches, but just know that it's the same pattern and you can make either one of these, you'll just use different colors. Alright, let's get straight into it. Alright, so for Light Fury, you are going to need the colors white or cream white, light gray, and then this cyan for the eyes, a little bit of embroidery later on. For Toothless, you're just going to need black, white, and a little bit of this light green colored yarn, as well as some red for the tail. So I use 4-ply cotton yarn with a 1.9mm hook, as you can see here, but feel free to use anywhere between 1.75 and a 3mm hook. And of course, if you have your own yarn and hook that corresponds to that yarn that you're used to, feel free to do that because this pattern should be universal. You will also need some 6 or 7mm black safety eyes. You will also need a pair of cutters. You will need a needle, and I highly recommend using a leather or a sewing needle. This one here is like a little bit of a sewing needle, but it's very large. I just lost my needle, so this is all I can work with at the moment. I highly recommend using pins to pin the horns in place because it makes your job way easier. And then of course you will need some fiber filling to stuff that body and head. Okay, so we're going to start off by using our white colored yarn, and then we'll just make a magic ring. And if you don't know how to make a magic ring, feel free to check out my beginner crochet tutorial playlist where I teach you all of these techniques. Then you can learn them and come back and complete any one of my mini tutorials, or just any tutorial on this channel really. Okay, so from here we're going to work 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring, and I've already stuffed it up at the beginning just because remember you want all of that yarn to go through the loop. Now the next thing that I want to tell you is the type of single crochet stitch that I make. I have the yarn coming underneath the hook first, and then I have the yarn going over the hook second, and we call that yarn under and then yarn over, just like that. And I've actually linked a video over here so you can see the different types of single crochet stitches. This is the one that I recommend for amigurumi projects. It's probably the easiest and in my opinion looks the best, but feel free of course if you want to do your own style as well. So we've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the 6th single crochet stitch right here. Then we are going to pull this yarn tail until we close that magic ring. And then from here, you can either decide whether or not you want to crochet in a spiral or with a slip stitch and chain 1. Now for these ones, it doesn't matter if you crochet in the way that you do the slip stitch and chain 1 for the body and then a spiral for the head, because the tail and the wings are going to cover the back of the body anyway. So I'm just going to do that way to make it easier for everyone. So we'll slip stitch and chain 1 at the moment. So that's round number 1 complete. And round number 2 is where we are inserting our hook into every stitch space and making an increase. So an increase just means we work 2 single crochet stitches inside 1 stitch space. So here's our first increase, here is our second coming up 1 and then 2, and here's our third 1, and then same stitch space number 2. So we've done 3 increases so far. We need another 3 to go with 12 stitches at the end of round number 2. Alright, so we're up to round 3 now. So for round 3, you'll start off with a single crochet stitch, and then you will work an increase in the next stitch space. And it's that pattern, single increase, that you will repeat total 6 times for 18 stitches after the completion of round number 3. And for round number 4, I'll take you through it slowly because there's a few different things that we need to do. So we're going to start off with 4 single crochet stitches, 1, 2, 3, and here's number 4 single crochet stitch. Now from here we are going to work something called a spike bubble stitch. So you might be inclined to go in this stitch space right here, but we don't go there. Instead, we work 1 row below that, directly below that, so kind of right here I would say. So wrap your yarn, come in this stitch space 1 row below, and then pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. And just do that again, wrap the yarn, come in, pull up and pull through 2, and one more time, wrap the yarn, pull up a loop and make sure you're pulling that up, and then pull your yarn through 2 loops on that hook And you completely repeat that until you have 4 loops on the hook, to which then you just pull the yarn through those 4 loops on the hook like that. Alright, so from here, what we want to do is work, let's see, we want to work another 8 single crochet stitches. So let's do that now together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here is number 8. And then from here, once you've worked those 8 single crochet stitches, you're going to work another spike bubble stitch. So you want to wrap the yarn. You're not coming in this stitch space, but you're coming 1 row below that, which is right there. Okay, so you pull up the yarn and pull through 2. Wrap the yarn, come in that stitch space, pull up the yarn and pull through 2. And one more time, wrap the yarn, come in the same stitch space, pull up and pull through 2. We have 4 loops on the hook where we pull through all 4 loops on the hook. And then we should have 4 single crochet stitches left. If you don't have 4, we've done something wrong in one of the spike bubbles, so just go back until you have the correct number of stitches, which is 18, after the completion of round number 4, and just make that slip stitch and chain 1 to complete that round. And there we go, there are our legs. Now from here on out, well, not for here on out, but for the next 4 rounds, this is rounds 5, 6, 7, and 8, we are just working single crochet stitches. So there will be 18 single crochet stitches for the next 4 rounds. And before you leave, I need to teach you how to make these stitches straight. So we pull the yarn up. We've got 2 loops on the hook. Try and have this loop here a little bit shorter than this one if you can, but it's not the main point that I want to make. As you pull the yarn through those 2 loops on the hook, this is the major part. You want your hook to be as vertical or as pointed to the opposite direction as possible. Since I'm a right-handed crocheter, I want that hook to the left as much as possible as I pull up. So there we go. And as I pull up, you can see I'm pointing vertical and a little bit to the left. If you're left-handed crochet, it's just the opposite direction. And you want to continue that from here on out to keep those stitches as straight as possible, and it helps them align as well with the body. And this is the end of rounds 1 to 8. So we've got rounds 1 to 8 there, and we're beginning now round number 9. So for round number 9, we're going to start off with 7 single crochet stitches. 2, 3, and I'm keeping these stitches as straight as possible. 4, 5, 6, and here is the 7th, just like that. All right, so we've got 7 single crochet stitches there. And now what we want to do is we're making something called an elongated spike bubble stitch. It's not too difficult. It's the same technique as the bubble, except we're going lower. And in fact, we're going as low as between rounds 3 and 4. So if this is round 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're going between rounds 3 and 4. So you want to follow the lining of this stitch space all the way until you reach round 3 and 4. So you're going to enter the hook between those rounds directly underneath this stitch space. And in order to do that, you want to wrap the yarn first, then you'll come into that same stitch space between rounds 3 and 4. Then you'll pull up the yarn, and you need to pull it up. It must be pulled up to reach the others. And then you pull through 2. And then you just repeat that another 2 times, just making sure you're always pulling the yarn up, which is the most important part here. And one more time, come in, pull the yarn up, up, up until it meets the rest of them. Then pull through 2. And once you pull through 2 and you've got 4 loops on the hook, you pull through all 4 loops on the hook just like that. And there is your first elongated spike bubble stitch. Now from here, we will make another 3 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, just like that. And now we are going to make another spike bubble stitch, but elongated. So wrap the yarn. You want it to come directly here. So follow this stitch space all the way down until you get to rounds 3 and 4. And then enter your hook, pull up the yarn, and make sure you pull up and pull through 2. And then you'll just repeat this another 2 times, pulling up the yarn each time and pulling through 2. Here's our last time. Pull up the yarn, pull through 2, 4 loops on the hook, signals we're ready to pull through all 4 loops on the hook, just like that. And there is your second spike bubble stitch. And then from here, you'll only have 6 single crochet stitches left. 1, 2, and keep these stitches straight. 3, 4, 5, and number 6. Now that was probably the most difficult portion of the entire pattern. Once you've got that, you know you can complete the rest. So for round number 10 now, we're going to start off with a single crochet stitch first, followed by something called an invisible decrease. An invisible decrease is where you enter the hook through the front loop of the next stitch, and then the front loop of the very next adjacent stitch as well. So you've got 2 front loops on the hook there, 2 front loops. Then you pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through, keeping those stitches straight. So let's repeat that pattern. Single first, followed by an invisible decrease, just like that. So we've repeated that pattern 2 times. You want to repeat it another 4, 6 in total, leaving you with 12 stitches at the end of round number 10. Alright, and we're up to round number 11 now. So for round number 11, we're going to work only in the back loops. So just those back loops only, and we're going to make the following: single crochet stitch first, followed by back loop only increase. 1, come in the same back loop and make the second single crochet stitch. So we have single increase in those back loops only, and you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So single plus a back loop only increase. So that's what I want you to do for the entire way around. You'll have 6 of these patterns in total, back loops only, for the end of this round, and you will have 18 stitches. And there we go. So we've just completed that. So for round number 12, it's going to be 2 single crochet stitches this time, 1 and 2, followed by an increase, 1 single crochet stitch and the second. So you want to repeat that 6 times in total, single, single, increase all the way around, and you'll end up with 24 stitches at the end of round number 12. And there we go. I'm up to the final stitch of round number 12, and I'm not making a slip stitch and chain 1 from this point onwards. You can even start from the row before if you wanted to. So I'm going to crochet in a spiral from this point onwards. And for the next 4 rounds, this is rounds, oh actually, let me see, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Yep. So next 4 rounds, we are going to be working 24 single crochet stitches, and we're working these in a spiral. So use a stitch marker if you want to mark that first stitch of round number 13, and it's just rounds 13, 14, 15, and 16, so 4 rounds of 24 single crochet stitches. And remember that technique to keep those stitches as straight as possible as well. And there we go. So we're finished up to round number 16 there. So for round number 17, still working in your spiral, you're going to start off with 2 single crochet stitches, keeping those stitches straight, followed by an invisible decrease. Remember, it's the front loop again, and pull the yarn through. So we'll do that one more time. 2 single crochet stitches, 1, keeping stitches straight, 2, followed by an invisible decrease, front loop, yarn through, yarn through. Repeat another 4 times, 6 times in total, to get 18 stitches at the end of round number 17. So you can either add your eyes and your fiber filling at this point, or you can continue on like me by working the next round. So single crochet stitch is what we do in the next round, followed by invisible decrease. And you just want to repeat that pattern 6 times in total for 12 stitches at the end of round number 18, and then we'll add the eyes and the fiber filling. Alright, so we've just inserted the eyes here between rounds 14 and 15. So this one here is 14, round 14, and this one here is round 15, and those eyes are between those 2, and then you're having them kind of in the direction or in line with those arms, if you will, kind of between the legs. So that's what the eyes are looking like. There's about 2 stitch spaces in between. If you use 7mm safety eyes, you might have a little bit less in between, but trying to keep it at least 2 stitch spaces in between. You don't want it too far out either, otherwise the eyes start to look a little bit goggly. And then from here, don't forget to add the sealant portion of the eyes to seal them in. And then we're up to adding fiber filling. So when you're adding the fiber filling, you want to add little layers at a time. So you can see here, I've just added a little bit of fiber filling. And then what I will do at this point is use a pair of cutters to kind of squish down that fiber filling that I just entered into the body, and just push it towards every sort of nook and cranny that you can find, so that you're getting rid of that airspace and you've got this even distribution of that fiber filling. And then you'll just keep doing that layer by layer, small layers at a time if you can. I know it's tempting to just add it all in one big chunk, but don't do that because you get this uneven sort of distribution. So in these small layers, and using a pair of cutters or a pair of scissors, whatever you have, to condense and compress that fiber filling until you reach all the way to the head. All right, so we've just added our fiber filling all the way to the top here, and I'm kind of pushing it in with my third finger in my left hand, just the one that is used for the yarn tension. And then what I want to do, because this is the final round, we are going to be making invisible decreases in every stitch space, and we're going to make 5 of these in total, and try and keep the yarn tension nice and tight as well, because you'll notice that it ends up being a little bit looser just because we have that fiber filling inside our little plushie here. But we want to keep this as tight as possible. So even if you're pulling a little bit tighter, that's just what you're going to have to try your best to do. And this is your tension finger as well. So keeping that nice and tight as you're making these decreases. So there's our second decrease. Here is the third. And I'm pulling this nice and tight. There we go, third. Here's the fourth. Try not to get fiber filling caught up in the way as well if you can. And then number 5, just like that. Now, if you crocheted with a slip stitch and chain 1 all the way to the top, you'll have to do one more decrease, invisible decrease. But if you were like me and crocheted in a spiral when you got to the head, you are just going to make a slip stitch now in the next stitch space to even that all out. And then pull the yarn through the loop on the hook. Pull it until you've got about 15 centimeters worth of a yarn tail, and then cut that. And that is the rest of the head now complete. Now, if you do need to rearrange where these eyes are, feel free to kind of manipulate them until it's looking good. And that is the body there, but now we have to close up this top portion. So let's do that now. So here I've got my needle with my yarn going through that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work one stitch space at a time. So here's the slip stitch over here. I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to the next stitch space. I'm going in the front loop only. So there's that front loop. And then I'm just going to continue around all the remaining stitches through those front loops. And I'm not going to pull just yet. So this one is number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and here's the 7th one right here. So you'll have 7 to get through. If you made a slip stitch and chain 1 all the way to the top, you'll only have 6. And then you want to pull this in a clockwise direction until it closes. As you can see there, it closed nice and tightly. Then have the needle insert through the center and come out somewhere in the head. It doesn't really matter where you go because it's all white yarn. Give this a little bit more of a pull so you can close the top. And then from here, we're going to weave in this yarn tail across the dominant diagonal. Can you see these diagonals that are very visible? That's where we want to align the stitches as we weave them in. So you can see here, we're going across that dominant diagonal right there, and it's just this seamless look. You wouldn't even know that we've sewn it in. So we are going to repeat that. Let's say maybe, I'm going to see how many we can get. We've got 2. Here is number 3. This one here will be number 4. And I could have done one more, but I don't want to weave this in my needle again. So I'm just going to leave it as is. But if you can do more, feel free to do more. The more that you do, the more secure this is. And then just cut and just push in that little excess piece inside the body to hide. And there we go. So that is the complete finish of the body now. Okay, so we're up to the wings now, and now for the wings, just leave yourselves a little bit of a yarn tail and then make a slip knot. There we go. Now from here, you're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 7. And now we're going to work this step by step, so watch me carefully, okay? This is row number 1 where we start in the second loop from the hook, and we'll start off with a single crochet stitch. In the next loop, we are going to work a half double crochet stitch. So we wrap the yarn first, come into the next loop, pull up a loop as well. So you've got 3 loops on the hook, and then pull the yarn through all 3 loops on the hook, and that there is your half double crochet stitch. Next, we're going to work a double crochet stitch. So wrap the yarn, come in the next loop, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and then pull through 2 again. So that's a double crochet stitch. Then we'll make another double crochet stitch in the next loop, pull up a yarn and pull through 2, pull through 2. From here, we are going to wrap the yarn twice, come into the next loop, pull up a loop, and then pull through two, pull through two again, and pull through two one more time. And then in the last loop, you will also wrap the yarn twice. And by the way, we call this a treble crochet stitch. Wrap the yarn twice, come in the last loop, pull up a loop, pull through two again, and pull through two again. And then we're actually going to make a treble crochet increase in this last loop. So you need to do it once more. Wrap the yarn twice, come in that same last loop, and just do that treble crochet stitch again. Pull through two, and pull through two. Now this here is almost the completion of the first row. You just need to chain 3 more to finish this off. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. And now what we're going to do at this point is begin row number 2. So you're going to turn this around. And then here was the first loop. You don't want to enter into that. You want to enter into the second loop, okay? So the second loop, you will enter into it and you will make a slip stitch. So there's our first slip stitch. And then in the next loop, which is your last loop of your chain, you will work another slip stitch. These will be the hanging ends of your wings. Now from here, we are going to work in the back loops all the way to the end, and we are just working slip stitches, but make these a little bit loose so you can enter into them. So go into the back loop, pull up the yarn, and make sure you pull it up a little bit more, and then make the slip stitch. And that's how you make them a little bit loose. So we've got 1, pull up, slip stitch, that's 2, back loop only, pull up, slip stitch, that's 3, back loop only, pull up, slip stitch, that's 4, back loop only, pull up, slip stitch, that's 5, back loop only, pull up, slip stitch, that is 6, and last one, back loop only, pull up and slip stitch to finish that off. Well done, guys. Okay, so that's round 2 now complete. Now from here, I want you to chain 1 and turn the work, ready to begin round number 3. Round number 3 is also working in only the back loops. So you want to get into that very first back loop and make 1 slip stitch, but make it loose as well, just so you can get into it later. So that's 1, okay? Now in the next loop, you're going to make, you're going to make a single crochet stitch. Then in the very next back loop as well, you'll make another single crochet stitch. So far we've got 3 stitches, slip stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, all in the back loops. Next, you'll make a half double crochet stitch in the back loop. Remember, you wrap the yarn and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. Then we want to make a double crochet increase in this next back loop. So wrap the yarn, pull up, pull through 2, and repeat in the same back loop. Pull up, pull through 2, pull through 2. That's your double crochet increase. Next, we're wrapping the yarn twice, and we are also coming in this next back loop. Right, and try not to get in more than just the back loop. So there's my back loop. Then we pull up the yarn, and we finish off that treble crochet stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and you'll do that again in the same back loop. Pull up the yarn, pull through 2, and pull through 2 for that second treble crochet or the treble crochet increase in that back loop. Then we want 1 more treble crochet stitch in the very next back loop. There we go, back loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And from here, that was the last one, we will chain 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, and that is row 3 all complete. So we're looking like the wing now, huh? So for row number 4, we're going to turn this around. We're going to enter the hook in the second loop from the hook and make those slip stitches again. 1 in the next loop. Here's the second slip stitch. And now from here, you will have back loops only, working the next 9 stitches as loose slip stitches. So pull up and then pull through. So that's 1. Pull up, pull through, that's 2. Next one, back loop only, pull up, pull through 2, that's 3. Next one, pull up, pull through 2, that's 4. Make sure you're counting. Pull up, pull through 2, 5. Pull up, pull through 2, 6, back loop only, pull up, pull through for the slip stitch, that's 7, back loop only, pull up, slip stitch, that's 8, and we've got one more. Get in that back loop, find it, find where that back loop is. There we go. Pull up, loosen it up, and pull through to make that slip stitch. And that there is the end of round 4. Only 2 more rounds to go, so we're going to chain 1 and turn. This is row number 5 now. So get in the back loop only of the first slip stitch space. So the back loop only, okay? And then from here, you'll just make 1 slip stitch and make it loose. There we go. First slip stitch, now done. We're working in the back loops only for all of row number 5. For the next 2, you'll make 2 single crochet stitches, 1, and here's the second, number 2. Next, you are going to make a half double crochet stitch. So come in here, pull up a loop, pull through all 3 loops. Another half double crochet, but this time it's a half double crochet increase. So in that loop, you'll make the first half double crochet stitch, then wrap the yarn again, come in the same back loop, and make your second half double crochet stitch to give it that increase. 2 of them in the 1 back loop stitch space. Next back loop will just be, so get in that back loop and then just make a double crochet stitch. So wrap the yarn, pull up a loop and pull through 2, and then pull through 2 again. So that's your double crochet stitch. Next is your double crochet increase in the next back loop. So here's our next back loop. Pull up the yarn, pull through 2, pull through 2. That's the first double crochet stitch. Here's the second in the same back loop. Pull up, pull through 2, pull through 2. So that there is your double crochet increase. Next, you want to make a treble crochet stitch in the next back loop. So wrap twice, pull up, pull through 2, pull through 2 again, and pull through 2 again. And finally, we will finish with a treble crochet increase. So come in this next back loop, pull up, pull through 2, and oops. Just going to make this correct, and then pull through 2 again, and 1 more in the same back loop to finish this off. This is almost the last one. Pull through 2, and pull through 2, just like that. All right, so that's round 5 done. We just have 1 more row to go. I should have said row, but you know what I mean. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Turn it around. We're ready for row number 6 here. Come in the second loop from the hook, make a slip stitch. Another loop, make another slip stitch, 1 and 2. And then for the remaining stitches, of which there should be 12, we'll do them together, we'll make loose slip stitches. So there's 1, back loops only. Here's number 2, here's number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10, number 11, and 1 more to go. Find that back loop. It's always a little bit tricky with that final back loop, but you just got to poke and prod until you find it, and then slip stitch to finish. Well done. You are going to now pull the yarn through the loop on the hook and leave yourselves with a good 20 centimeter tail. I probably have a little bit more than that, but that's okay. And there is my first wing, and you want to repeat this as well. I've kind of been a bit lazy and I've just done the same thing twice, and then one of the wings has to be backwards. You won't really notice it. It's the lazy version, but it's okay. We'll leave it as this just to make it easier, because this is a beginner crochet tutorial, so we'll leave it as is. So we're making 1 more of these wings, and then you'll have 2 in total. And remember, if you're doing Night Fury or Toothless, you want to do this in black colored yarn as well. All right, I'll let you guys do the second one. And there we go. There's the 2 wings right there. All right, so now we're about to begin the tail. I should put this over here so you guys can see it. So we'll start the tail now. We're going to make a magic ring. And by the way, this is not the only way that you can make a magic ring. There's other ways too. But it ends up with the same result. Okay, so there's our magic ring right there. And from here, we're going to work 4 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. 1, 2, 3. And here is number 4. Now, we need to pull this magic ring tail, and we are going to finish off with the slip stitch and chain 1, by the way, just to make this easier for ourselves. So come into your first stitch space and pull this yarn tension tail over here, which is your working yarn. You want to pull that tight as you make the slip stitch and then chain 1. Okay, so round number 2 is going to be single crochet stitch in every stitch space. So that's just 4 single crochet stitches in total. We have 3 right here, and we're about to have number 4. This is the important part. You need to pull this the right way around so that you can get to where you need to make that slip stitch. So we've made 4 right here, and here's where we make our slip stitch. So insert your yarn there, pull this. If you need to readjust, do so, and then pull, 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 make the slip stitch, chain 1. So that's very important there as you do that. Okay, and then for the next 2 rounds now, this should be fairly simple from here on out, is just to make 4 single crochet stitches. So that's the next 2 rounds. Rounds 3 and 4 is just 4 single crochet stitches. All right, so we're up to round 5 now. I'm just chaining 1 there. You're going to start off with a single crochet stitch, followed by an increase, 1 and 2 in the same stitch space, followed by another increase, single crochet stitch right there, and finish with an increase, 1 and 2, and slip stitch in the first stitch space and chain 1 to finish. Okay, and then for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds, you'll just work 6 single crochet stitches. So that's rounds 6, 7, 8, 9, and actually I said 4 rounds, right? So rounds 6 to 9 is just 6 single crochet stitches in each round, and that's it. So we'll come back together at round number 10. All right, so for round number 10, you're going to start off with an increase, 1 and 2, just like that. And then from here, you're going to work 2 single crochet stitches, 1 and 2. Then work another increase, 1, same stitch space, 2, followed by another 2 single crochet stitches, 1 and 2, and then make a slip stitch in the very first stitch space of the round to finish that off. And there we go. All right, so that's round number 10 done. Now for rounds numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's the next 5 rounds. It's just 8 single crochet stitches, and that's it. So for the next 5 rounds, all the way up to round number 15, it will just be 8 single crochet stitches. So guys, I'll let you guys complete that now. So all the way up until round number 15 of 8 single crochet stitches, and then slip stitch as well as pulling the yarn through, and we'll cut it together. And there we go, we're up to round number 15 here, and I'm just going to pull the yarn through, leave myself about a 15 to 20 centimeter yarn tail, cut the yarn, and there's my yarn tail right there. And then with this one, you can cut it and kind of push it back in. Now, you will also need to add a bit of fiber filling to the tail, and you want to do this again in small little chunks at a time if you can. So you want to continue this and try and use like a pair of cutters or something that's small enough to get it right to the end. You can even use once you've condensed and compressed this enough, you should even be able to just push using a hook to get it right to the base there, or a pair of tweezers or something like that. And you'll just keep filling it up until the tail is filled up and you're ready for the next portion. And there we go. So that's the tail all filled up right there. Okay, so for the 2 horns, these will either be in white or black. You will just crochet in a magic ring 4 single crochet stitches. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Close the magic ring. You've kind of done this before with the tail actually. And then you will enter the hook through the first stitch space, pull this nice and tight so that you can do the slip stitch and chain 1. And then for the next 2 rounds, they will be 4 single crochet stitches as well. 1, 2, 3, and here is number 4. Oh, let's try and get in that space properly. There. And then remember what we said on that second round, you have to put it the right way around, because if you leave that too late, it becomes very difficult. So there we go, and we're entering back into our first stitch of round number 2, pulling this, slip stitch, chain 1. We'll have one more round of 4 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, last single crochet stitch for the horn. There's number 4, and then just finish off by inserting your hook in the very first stitch of round number 3 and making a slip stitch and pulling the yarn through and leaving yourselves about a 15 centimeter yarn tail right there. Now you don't need to fill this up with any fiber filling, but what you can do is just chop off a little bit of the yarn tail and then use the remaining portion of it to push back in, just to give it a little bit of strength. And you can use this yarn tail to do that. So just push that all the way in with your pair of cutters or whatever you have. Again, it's not necessary, it's just something I like to do to give it a little bit of sort of strength. And then there, that's my first horn. You're making 2 of those. And there you go. So those are the 2 horns that enter the center of the head there. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so for the next part, we're making these 2 little sort of, I guess, horns as well. And all you're going to do is leave a bit of a yarn tail and then make a slip knot. We're making 2 of these in total, by the way. Then you'll chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And from here, you're just going to, in the second loop from the hook, make a slip stitch. And then the remaining 2 loops, you will make 2 single crochet stitches, just like that. And then just pull the yarn through. You can leave the same length of a yarn tail as you did at the beginning. So you've got 2 little yarn tails there that we can use together. So that's 1 right there. Let's make another one. And there we go. So those are the 2 there that you'll need. And now let's get onto the side portions of the dragon. So what we will do this time is leave a bit of a yarn tail as well, and then make a slip knot, and then just chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So in the second loop from the hook, you'll make a slip stitch, just like that, and then we'll make 1 more slip stitch to finish off. And that will be it. And then leave yourselves a bit of a yarn tail again so that you can sew it on later. And you want to make 4 of these in total. There we go. So we've made 4 of those now, ready to sew on for later, and they've all got 2 yarn tails each, roughly about 10 centimeter yarn tails there. Okay, so now we're going to make these tail extensions. We've got 2 of the same thing. If you're doing the black Toothless dragon, you'll need 1 in red and 1 in black. If you're just doing yours with white, then you are definitely making Light Fury. Light Fury just has 2 whites. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate this with white colored yarn just because it's easier. Leave a little bit of a yarn tail, make a slip knot, and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the second loop from the hook, you want to make a slip stitch, just like that. In the same loop, you'll make a half double crochet stitch. So you wrap the yarn and pull through all 3 loops. Then we're going to chain 1. And now we are going to make a picot stitch. And we do that by entering the hook through the side stitch of your half double crochet stitch. So it's in the side of that. And then you pull the yarn through all of that and make a slip stitch into the loop on the hook, and that's what you call a picot stitch because it gives you a little bit of a point. Then from here you're going to chain 1, and then you'll make a slip stitch in the next stitch space, just like that. Okay, so from here you want to make a single crochet stitch in the same stitch space, then chain 1 and make another picot stitch. So you're going in the side space, so it's the back loop and then the side of that single crochet stitch. You pull the yarn through and then you continue to pull it through into the loop already on the hook, and that's the picot stitch right there. We chain 1 and we're going to slip stitch in the last loop. Okay, there we go. Then we are going to make another single crochet in this same last loop, just like that. Then we'll chain 1, make a picot stitch in that side single crochet stitch. So you keep pulling it until you've got it in the loop. It's kind of like a slip stitch, just you're making a point. Then we chain 1 and slip stitch in the same last loop to finish that all off. Then pull the yarn through. Give yourselves a good 10-15 centimeter yarn tail, just like that. And then these two you can actually tie together if you'd like. So you can tie these together once and then a double knot to secure it further. There we go. And we're going to use these yarn tails to sew this to the tail. As you can see here, you just need to make one more. If you did this one, remember you've got 2 different colors, one in black and then one in red. And there we go, we've just made 2 in total there for the tail. Alright, and this last part is completely optional. It depends on whether or not you want to do this. So for white, you're going to use light gray colored yarn for these claws over here. For black, you're going to use white colored yarn for the claws. And you're going to just cut like a 30 centimeter piece of cotton yarn in any one of those colors and pull it so that you're getting 2 strands only. So you just want 2 strands. Now, if you struggle pulling 2 strands apart, just do one at a time and connect them together. So now we've got 2 ply cotton yarn right here, and that's what we're going to use for the claws to make them a little bit smaller. And you're going to start off like this. Leave a bit of a yarn tail. Make a slip knot. There we go. There's our slip knot. We're going to chain 2, and we'll make a slip stitch in the very first stitch space of the round. Just like that. Chain 2 again, 1, 2, and then make another slip stitch in the second loop from the hook. There we go. And one more time, chain 2 and a slip stitch in the second loop from the hook. Then pull the yarn through and you've got yourselves some claws. And you want to make 2 of these for the white and 2 in white for the black. And there we go. There are our 2 claws in total, as you can see here. 1 and 2. All right, so this is where you want your handy dandy pins, because these are going to be super helpful for you. Now, of course, mine are kind of small balls, but any pins will do just fine. So we're going to pin the wings on right now. So here's one wing, and can you see how we've worked in the rows like this? Well, this section here, this vertical section, is the section that we want to have at the back here aligned perfectly one way or the other. So it kind of comes at the center portion of the body. You want to make this right. And we're not going to have it this way because it looks like an angel, right? But instead, so just imagine you can align it like this. Put that where you've got the rows this way and this is straight, but now we're going to twist it, one rotation to the left. Okay, and so now it's kind of like this first row that we worked on where we chained, remember, that's what's aligning to the center. So that's something that you just need to remember there, and we're just going to pin it roughly to the center of the back. Just like that. Okay, and we're going to do the exact same for the other wing. So let's grab our other wing. This way, remember I said I was a bit lazy because I didn't work out the pattern to be in the mirrored direction. Well, that's me. And this is beginner anyway, so it's okay. So we are going to find that first row. It's going to be right here. And then we're going to also chain this one to the center. And I'm just kind of getting an eyeball first of all. I'm going to pin it, but then I'm going to change where these pins belong because I need to work out where exactly it's going. So let's just pin it like that for now. And then if I have a look at this, I want to maybe move this one slightly towards the center now because that's more the center. Okay, that looks way better. Now, with the yarn tails that come up here, and they're actually the longer yarn tails, we are going to weave them through the top section here, and then here's the longer one here as well, and weave that this way. So you can see how I've come in, and I've woven it through the top section over here, because we kind of want to have these not visible. Right? And they're coming from the other direction, which makes it a little bit difficult for us to work with. So we need to bring it to the center. So I'm going to pull that all the way through, just like that. And now it's from here that I can continue using this long yarn tail. If these ones aren't long enough, feel free to continue using this one, where I'm going to work now into my stitch spaces. And I've got quite a long yarn needle here, which I wouldn't recommend. Something smaller would be way better. But in any case, we are just going to work this, sewing it piece by piece. And I'm kind of going back in the same stitch space. I came out here to redirect my my needle. So I'm going to come out here right now, as you can see. Oops. Put this back in. Just like that. And then we're going to continue. You could either go back in here and then work up the next one like that. Makes it so much easier if you have a smaller needle, by the way, guys. And then I'll come up the next one. Just like that. Move this out of the way so we're focused. Come in here. Go to my next stitch space. And we're just going to continue this all the way down. All the way down. So I'm going to remove that as well. And remember, you want this straight, so do your best. I'll come right down the end here. This is my final stitch. And I'm just going to sew this into the body as well. And then seeing as I missed a mid stitch in here, I'll just come back up. And then I'll get through it. Just like that. Come back in. And I'll just come around the front of the body to finish that off. So this is now nicely secured. And with this yarn tail, what I will do is have it also come in this section here, and then I'll come out wherever I had my other yarn tail. That's if you didn't end up using this yarn tail, by the way. So there we go, that's all done. And I took the other wing out just to make it easier for myself as well. And then I've got these two yarn tails at this end, and then I'm going to tie them in a double knot, and I will make the second knot a little bit tighter than the first. And then I'll just use my pair of yarn scissors or cutters to cut off the excess. And then I'm going to push in the knot inside the body to hide. Now I want to do the exact same with the other wing, and I'm going to follow the same pattern. So weaving this in, continuing down, and then using this yarn tail later on. And it's got to be aligned. These wings have to be aligned right at the center here. And there we go. So those are the wings now all sewn on. It's looking fantastic. Okay, next part is to sew on the claw. So you can see I've pinned it from side to side underneath this leg over here. And then I've got the long yarn tail, and I'm going to work where that pin is, or roughly close to it. And then I'm going to go through the middle section. Just like that. I'll take this pin out. Then I'm going to go around and over here. Then I'll come up where the point of the claw should be. So the ending point, I should say. So here is the end edge of my claw. Work through that, come down, and then what I can do to secure these claws even more, so I'll take this pin out, I'll come up at the tip of the claw of each little claw nail, and then go back in where I think it should be situated. So there's one, and it just kind of helps to have it sat properly. And I'll do this one over here. So let me just get this one. So there's one there, and then this last one over here. I'm just kind of coming up the side of that. Just like that. And then this will go back inside that same stitch space. I'll come out maybe over here. I'll have to weave this in again. So grabbing my needle. There we go. And I'm going to pull this at the back. There we go. We've got those 3 little nails of the claws done. And then with this one, I'm just going straight back in to the side. And have these 2 yarn tails emerge in the same stitch space, which is over here. Tie them in a double knot, as you guys are getting used to now. To secure this in place, double knot just like that. Pair of cutters to cut above the knot, and then use your needle or whatever you have to pull this inside the body to hide it in place. And there we go, there's 1 claw done. I want you to repeat with the 2nd claw over here to finish. Claws are now complete, as you can see here. Beautiful. All right, the next thing we want to do is stick on this tail. So let's see how this is looking. We want to turn this around to the back and find the midpoint. Again, you'll see it in between those wings. And then you're going to pin this to the base of the body, and it kind of goes across the wings if you don't have enough space here, and you're just going to pin it like that. Then you've got your yarn tail, and we're going to start sewing the tail together. So here's my yarn tail right here. And what I want to do is I'm going to come in one of these first mid stitch spaces, and I'm going to come underneath just like this. This is just going to start me off at least. And then what I want to do is, first of all, you want all of this yarn to be inside the tail as best as possible. And then wherever you are, it doesn't matter where you are, you want to come through the front and back stitches as you go. If you're in the middle of this, that's more than fine. Just whatever is the closest one here for you. Then come back in that same stitch space and work up 1. And then this will close like that. And then you're going to go in the next stitch space that is closest to you, keeping it all roughly in the middle. And then coming back into that same stitch space and then coming up 1. And then pull, 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 and then I will come through the next 2 stitch spaces, which was the end 2 stitch spaces, front and back stitches, coming here, come into the same stitch space at the base, so over here, and then I'm going to come out here where we've missed this stitch. Just like that, take out this pin, and then I'm going to come through the front and the back loops over here. Pull, pull, pull. And then I'm just going to continue this until we feel as though this is nice and secure. So this should go over the top if we can. And then I'm going to come underneath again. Just like that. Back into this stitch space. And so on and so forth until we feel again like this is nice and secured. Oops, we just made a little wobble there. Sorry about that from the camera. And then once we've done all of this and we're feeling nice and secure, if you feel like this tail needs to be curved a little bit like that, what I would suggest for you to do is come out around about here. That way you can curve this. Come find a stitch that's relatively close by, go through it, and then go straight back into that stitch space. And that's just going to help bring it closer to the body like that. See how it curved in like that? Now I'm going to weave this into the body to hide it since I don't have an extra yarn tail. So I'm going to come maybe up here. I'm just going to weave this in a few times. So here's 1. And this will just secure it in place. 2. Maybe 3 to 4 times. Here's 3. Let's see if we can do 1 more. Can we make it? I'll come up this diagonal this time. And 4. I think we made it. And there we go. Then we can cut this off. And I don't even know where it was because we've hidden it in place. So that is the tail now sewn all the way on. If you want to secure this further, keep sewing until you feel as though that tail is nicely secured. Okay, so do you remember these tail extension pieces that we have here? Well, we are going to now start sewing these at the tip of the tail. It's easier to do it once the tail's all sewn on. So we're going to have one this way okay? And then the other one we're gonna have on this side, just like that. So it will be sewn on like that. And all you'll do is grab one yarn tail. So we'll do one together, I guess. So weave this through the eye of your needle. You're at the base here, so this is all good. And then you just sew it on like this. I'm coming to the back of it. And then I'm just going to keep continuing to go through some of these stitches and back into the tail. And so on until I feel like I have secured this on in the direction that I want it. So even that is actually more than fine. So I'm going to come right at the back here. It doesn't really matter where, just wherever there's white colored yarn. And then with this piece as well, I'm going to just fix it straight in. And I'll emerge at this stitch space where the other yarn tail was. And then I'll come back and emerge in the same spot. Pull, pull, pull. So that's looking wonderful now there. And then with these two yarn tails, again, you guys have seen this, tie them in a double knot. 1, 2, cut, and hide the knot inside the tail to get rid of it. Just like that. Okay, and then for the other one, you're just going to go the opposite direction and sew it on right here, and that's it. And that's what it looks like once we finish the tail. Fantastic. So remember, with the black, you'll have black and red stuck onto the tail there. Okay, so the next thing we want to sew on are these horns. So just pin them at the top of the head and have a little bit of a space in between there so we can fit 2 of those other tiny little horns there as well. But when it comes to the sewing, it's fairly simple. You'll pin them on first, and then with your sewing needle and the yarn tail, you're just going to go through all of those 4 stitches. And you want to go through both the front and back loops. If you can't go through the front and back loops, just at least go through the front loops. But try and work from in to out all the way around. And that's all you're going to do for these horns. So as you can see here, I'm just working in from the inside to the outside, going through each of those stitch spaces. I'm keeping this as directly underneath the horns as I can as I'm sewing all the way around. And that's what you want to do as best as you can. So there's the third one. Here, I'm going to come over here. This one will be the 4th, coming from in to out through that stitch space. You do have to kind of give it a little bit of a bend so you can get through the back stitch loop as well. And I'll just do one more at the front here just because I want to secure the beginning portion of it a little bit better. Here's the last one, so I'm going to come through here, remove the pin, come through, and then that's pretty much it. And I'll come just at the back of the head or something and have the yarn tail emerge from there. And there's my first horn. I'm going to do the exact same with the second one and emerge here, tie these together in a double knot, and complete. Okay, so do you remember these 4 little horns that we made? We made 4 of them. These were the chain 3 ones and make 2 slip stitches. Well, we need to put 2 of these at the top of the head. Since they're the smallest ones, it makes it the easiest to put between the spaces of the head. So for example, one will go right here. And then the other one will just go right there. Okay, but I'm going to show you what I do. I just wanted to pin it properly there. So I'm going to show you what I do to have this nicely secured on. So grab one of those yarn tails and weave it through the eye of your needle. Doesn't matter which yarn tail you work with, no problem at all. But there's special techniques that you want to use with this. Okay, so I'm going to come in where it's closest to the head, okay, and then I'm going to come out where this other side is going to go. I'm going to pull, pull, pull until that's nicely secure. I'm going to take out this pin, leave this yarn tail for now, and come in the side portion of this. Give it a pull so it works all the way back in. And then it's going to go straight back into that stitch space over here and then out the back. Okay, so there's one tiny little horn over there. And we could have moved this a little bit back, but that's okay. Now with this one, what I want to do, and this is kind of what you'll be doing as well with all of these horns, by the way, as best as you can, is you're coming through, hold on, push this through. So I want to come through here, just wherever that corner is, it doesn't matter. Can you see how it starts to tilt forward just because I've pulled it back? Well, in order to fix this, I'm going to come right at the middle section, and then I'm going to weave it through part of that tail. Can you see how I've done that? Woven it through part of the back of that tail. And then we're going to come around and weave it back through that, then enter it in and come here. And this, look at this. I'll pull, 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 and it just pulls it back. And that's what you want. You don't have to come all the way to the tip, but just like halfway, the midpoint, or just 1/3 of it, and then come back down, and then it ends up pulling it the right way that you want. So that's what you're going to do with each of these horns, but I want one more horn to be right here. So go ahead and sew that right now. That's what it looks like there when you finish those 2 little small horns. Now you'll be left with 2 more small horns, and these will be pinned. I'll show you how to do them. Do you remember the bigger ones, the 2 bigger ones? Well, you're going to have them on the side of the face, kind of aligned with this horn, and on the side if you can. You can have it a little bit in front if you'd like to as well, but it should be roughly around the side of the face, kind of like there. And you're going to do the exact same and tie this one or pin this one to this side of the face as well. So these were the big ones, right? So remember that these are the big ones. And then the last 2 small ones will be just directly underneath, right there. Okay, and you'll do the same with the other one. And you're just going to sew them just like how you sewed these 2 on. So pin them first, then sew them, and we'll come back together at the end. Okay, so this is finally what we're looking like at the end of sewing those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little horns. So this is looking fantastic. We just have one thing left to do, and that's to create the diamond look of the eyes. So for the eyes, you're either doing it in this light sort of green color, or you're doing it in your cyan blue color. So since we're working with the white, we'll work with the cyan blue. All right, so I'd try your best to get a very sharp point. This is not a great example. I've lost my leather needle and I don't know where my sewing needle is, so I've got a huge needle, which I don't recommend. But in any case, we are going to do this as best as we can. So we're going to come in, and we're going to find kind of like a diagonal section of the eye. So come up to the top, so find the eye and then work the diagonal, the outer diagonal. So we're coming here. I'm going to leave a little bit of a yarn tail here, and I'm going to wrap the yarn all the way around like this. You see that? And then, and this is why you need a small needle, if you can. I might have to come out somewhere else and then work back in it. Okay, so remember we've worked back in here, and what I ideally wanted to do in the first go but couldn't get there was to come directly at the base corner of the eye, kind of like here, and then it will go through this, and then you can pull, you see that, and give it a nice tug, and then this needle wraps around this portion of the yarn and goes straight back into the same stitch space, wherever it is. And then I'll come out somewhere else. Doesn't matter where, I'm just getting some bearings at this point. And there we go, there's my first little eye. That looks like that. Now with this eye, we're going to do the exact same, just in mirror form. So we're coming here, we're finding the diagonal, which will be round about here. Pulling the yarn through. And then from there, in the same manner, we're going to wrap all the way around, come straight back here. And then if you can already get right at the base here of the eye, feel free to like put that needle straight there. But if you can't and you're like me, just do what I do. So I'll start off like this. This needs to be twisted around the right way, by the way. There we go. And then we need this needle to come straight back. If you can, try your best to get through somewhere that's very close to the eye over here, and it's actually going to go through these. Remember, you don't want to twist it. Pull, 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 pull. Nice tug there. And then it just goes straight back into where you came. So that was this portion of the eye. And then we're just going to feed it and emerge right where the other yarn tail is. So again, pull, pull until we're happy with the look. Just like that. I could have started a little bit further back here, but it's okay. In any case, we've made the diagonal. I think if we started there, we probably could have started maybe there, but it's fine. Okay, and then tie these two yarn tails at the back in a double knot, cut and hide. I ended up fixing the look because I had to keep it symmetrical. Okay, and then the two little yarn tails you will tie in a double knot. One, here's the second, we pull a little bit harder on the second, and then we use our pair of cutters, chop it up, grab your yarn needle, pull this into the back to hide it. Just like that, and make sure it's hidden. And then give this a little squish down if you can. Make the necessary adjustments. And that is the final look for your Toothless and Light Fury dragons, as you can see here. So that's what we're looking like, guys. Very beautiful. Worked out really nicely. So there's one side there. There's the other side there. We're looking like this. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, if you wanted to add a yarn chain, I have a linked video over here so you can learn how to do it. All I would suggest is that you come to kind of the center portion here, make or chain, let's say 70, come back, make a slip stitch, tie those together in a double knot, hide them in. Or of course you can, if you have your own keychains, just add a keychain, which is really easy to do. You just need a pair of pliers, add your keychain, and there you go. So that is it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Very nice one. This is a little bit more advanced compared to just a straight out beginner because there's a lot more sewing involved, but you guys can do it step by step. I hope I've guided you through this perfectly. And if you want to leave a little comment on the end of the video, feel free to do that. I will reply to all comments. They make my day. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.